Welcome to another episode of the Brewed Awakenings Podcast, where we delve into the fascinating world of coffee, one cup at a time. I'm your host, Kevin Lee, a cafe owner from Sydney, Australia, committed to bringing you inspiring stories and practical insights from coffee industry experts from around the globe. In today's episode, we have a very special guest, Nawar Adra. Nawar's unique journey recognizing the need for more accessibility and knowledge sharing in the industry. Nawar founded the Ensemble of Coffee Research and Education, or ECRE, a community focused on making the industry more sustainable and ultimately producing better coffee. But Nawar's passion for coffee didn't stop there. He's the founder and owner of Stitch Coffee, known for its dedication to fostering connections through coffee and education. Nawar's journey began as a barista trying to break into roasting, facing hurdles that would deter many. Yet his perseverance and innovative spirit led him to create these two remarkable platforms that are shaping the future of the coffee industry. Whether you're a coffee shop owner looking for new ideas or a coffee aficionado interested in the behind the scenes of the industry, you're in for a treat. So get your favorite cup of coffee ready and join us as we dive into Nawar's inspiring journey, his unique insights, and his vision for the future of coffee. Everyone, help me welcome Nawar. Hey Nawar, my friend, how are you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. It's exciting to share a lot of love.
No, I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're a super busy guy. I'm grateful that you said yes to this. I can't wait to kick this off in the new year together.
Yes, definitely.
Not that no one in Sydney already knows you in the coffee scene, but maybe they don't all know about your story. So let's just quickly jump in a bit about your journey. Man, what was your previous life before coffee? How did you get into it? And then if you can just go through your journey from getting into the industry to then now ECRE and Stitch Coffee.
I think I've been doing this coffee for at least, 14 years, roughly? So it's been a while. So I finished my high school in Lebanon, and I traveled to Sydney when I was 19 and a half. Got my first job ever in my life at the age of 20 something. And it was in a restaurant, which I've never done just waitering in my entire history. And at that moment, it was like a marriage type of place. And I don't know why would you give someone the first day 10 champagne glasses on a tray. Literally ask if you know what you're doing. That was the first incident in my life where it's exactly like a movie. You walk around and then you choose one person and the whole champagne fall on their face. That's exactly what happened to me the first day at work. So it was my first hospitality incident. I mean, I got there, but then before coffee started, my proper job in the industry, I was actually a baker. Not like a real type of baker, but more, I worked for a company called Deli France. It used to exist in Sydney a while ago, and most of the pastries were already pre-made. And
I remember Deli France.
Did you remember? Anyway, I baked in one of their stores. It's so funny. I did there. It's not good because I learned a little bit more about thing, but get me to the roasting where I am anyway. I was studying in Sydney and then we decided to do a commercial cookery. So it will help me to, be in the country at all. I finished my cooking course, and then I joined university. But while I was in university, this is where the seriousness of coffee started to get into my head. And that was around the 2010. This is where it started to kind of really, really well. It's only 2 years earlier where Sinks Campus and Toby started to rise. It's just like crazy coffee stuff happening around us. 2010, where things started to really kick in my head. I'm like, I want to stay in this. I want to do really well. I love it. I love the culture, how we do things. Like the cafe culture in here is crazy. And since then, I just kept going and Circa Espresso in 2013, they called me once. They said, "Hey, we bought a roaster. Do you want to be part of the team?" I resigned the next day, at the cafe where I worked. Because I really wanted to be a roaster. I really wanted to learn. And in fact, my first roasting machine was a hot dog. I don't know if you're familiar with a machine.
Yes.
You know that? Yeah.
I've seen
I
it.
did so much research. Yeah, exactly. Right. I did so much research. Like, what machine should I buy? I want to learn and all that. It was really fun. Like, we used to write by hand the time and the temperature and try to draw a curve. That was like pre-Cropster. Cropster wasn't even a thing then. So I always wanted to expand my knowledge in the coffee, right? I wanted to be, I did kitchen hand. I was on, I did barbecue because I work in a Lebanese restaurant. So there all these like kebab stuff happening. So I did that. I did baking. I did waitering. I did the whole, I went through the whole picture. Whatever you can be within a hospitality. I did this. I did a management, crazy stuff. So I'm pretty much a hospitality person from top to bottom. Been in the industry. I understand everyone in every situation or position they're in because I was there. Damn it. Like one day, I think I had an incident when I was baking and that was like 4:30 a.m., I guess, or 4:45. I was getting the tray out of the oven, right? And I was doing it. My hands kind of let go for some reason. I wasn't awake properly. I'm not sure. Anyway, I was pulling it down and then it slipped and it hit my face. And imagine you're talking about 250 degrees metal heat, right? Dude, you have no idea how pissed off I was. If that thing left a scar on my face, I was so angry. I'm like, no, I hate scars, not on my face now.
No.
But it's so good. I'm fine.
I can't say it now, that's for sure.
No, thank God. I've got a beer. Everything is fine. But yeah, that sucks. I hated it. I really, really hated it. This is when I started roasting. It actually helped because, baking and doing what you're doing over there, rotating and egg washing and understanding the color and all that. It's actually pretty interesting because some of that knowledge, you can apply it on the roasting. And if I want to do baking again, some of my roasting knowledge, I can apply it on roasting stuff. Even if you roast vegetables, whatever it is, you learn the heat. You can start low heat, high heat, right, with things to give you a little bit of outcome, like different outcomes. There's quite interesting little hospitality journey that I've been through. It was good. It was good.
I gotta say, I think I first met you. You probably don't remember me when you were working at Circa. So that I was a customer there. That Circa, I say, would be my first specialty cafe experience in a way. Really? One of the ones that got me really into it. I remember enjoying a really delicious filter or cold brew at Circa. I was like, man, this is really good. I think I was speaking to either you or the staff. And I think was it Bridget working at front of house at the time?
Yeah, Bridget. Gee, know her. Yeah, Bridget.
Yeah. That's right. She was an amazing front of house as well. And she connected with you and her and just learning all about coffee. That really got me one of the stepping stones into the industry, but passionately about, okay, you guys can make things taste this delicious. Let's go.
Yeah, look, it was very crazy at Circa because in the amount of details back then, right? Like we're talking 2013, you're talking 2012. And was coming from a lot of like fine dining restaurant, right? Tony later on joined him, and Tony was like a pharmacist, and he loved the perfect combination when you have a chemist genius that want to learn about roasting coffee. It's a perfect match. And they were both super detailed, like sometimes very stressful, like don't get me wrong, a certain spoon the spoon needs to be at a certain placement, all of the cup needs to be somewhere. It's crazy. It wasn't walking and but what I've learned more about the importance of the details, and that's what gave us the opportunity to win Best Cafe in Sydney back then when they were doing the, I think the Sydney Morning Herald, they had this coffee book where they go around and then they give nomination to different cafes for different things, and at that moment, this is the changes here. this is where, business management, supply chain operation, I don't need to be in the coffee industry. I was thinking a little bit further. What can I do next?
Yeah.
But winning Best Cafe Sydney and Circa, people not sure about Circa. Circa is, it used to be a driveway, right? So it was actually a driveway between two buildings. I don't know if it's legal, but they put now it is legal, but I don't think back then was. But anyways, they put a ceiling on top of it and they made it a coffee shop. That's actually, Circa started with camping store. There wasn't even a stove with connection. And I was like, wow, this is insane. So winning Best Cafe in Sydney and that award night was actually hosted at the ground of Alexandria when they first opened. Okay. So having a $3 million setup with the grounds and then a cafe up in freaking Wild West, Parramatta. Back then there was like, specialty coffee does not exist in that part of the world. No one heard about it, right? In the West. And us winning, it was much for me like, wow, we won the Best Cafe in Sydney. It was a big deal. And at that moment, I'm like, I'm staying in the industry and you just winning the Best Cafe in Sydney back then is literally, you're a Michelin star within the coffee industry, just anybody. Does that make sense? And
Mate,
seriously, we were doing like 1,500 a day. After winning this, until today, Circa is like went from 1,500 to 4,000 the next day and hasn't stopped.
Wow.
Since. It's crazy, man. And we were able to keep up and do what we need to do and all that. I mean, is one of those people that don't stop evolving. Like a lot of people will let go, it's been there for 12 years, you go back again. You're, oh my God, this is the new thing on the menu, you never get bored. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting.
I honestly believe that was one of the best cafes back in the day as well. It deserved to win Best Cafe in Sydney.
Thank you.
Like you said, it's literally a driveway converted into a cafe. The place was tiny. Like the kitchen wasn't even a kitchen, but like it produced food and it wouldn't lose to other cafes. And the coffee was amazing. The food was amazing. The service was amazing. And for what it was, mate, like you said, versus a $3 million fit out of the grounds, it was a better experience at the time. It was just different.
It was very approachable. Like, and I'm coming from Lebanon and honestly, we live in coffee shop. Like we don't have work. Like when you're young and like people in Lebanon stay in coffee shop for like 5-6 hours. It's literally your bedroom, your living room. You know what I mean? Like you just sit there. That's all you do is sit and talk and drink coffee. So for us, coffee culture is about getting to know all the people in the cafe. Like you become very good friend within the space, and talking and, educating each other about stuff, I think that's what makes me love having cafe or opening coffee shops, because a really great place to mingle, and to talk. So I really enjoy it.
The community piece is important, right? You're developing the regs, building friendships, and you never know where the relationships takes you. It's part of 100%. The love for having our own space. And talking about Lebanon, I think Vietnam is quite similar. The older guys in Vietnam, they just chill there, man, in a cafe for ages.
We just sit there, seriously. Like
that's what they do.
We used to go to Dunkin' Donuts back then. It's not very popular in Australia, but Dunkin' Donuts in a lot of places around the world. It was a very good product. Maybe now I don't think they are at the same caliber. Like they were way better than Krispy Kreme. I used to sit there for 7.5 hours. It's crazy. It's insane, what you can do at coffee shop. And in Lebanon, like coffee shop, you play cards, you play, there's a lot of things you do within that. And you're right. It's like, I don't know how we made money, but we're just sitting there drinking coffee. Maybe that's just the way life goes.
Now the cafe DNA is taken with you into Australia.
And coffee is also, we start drinking coffee at the age of probably 5 or 6. There's no rules that coffee is bad for kids over there. It's,
Wow, 5 or 6.
I don't know why I don't even know why there's rules in here that you can't drink coffee when you're a kid. Okay, it works really well. We're still alive, but we drink coffee with very, very, and we're talking about Arabic coffee. Yeah, we're not talking about filter and geishas and stuff. Yeah, we're talking about pure, very low grade Robusta from Brazil or things you don't want to drink today. I don't know how we did it.
But don't they mix in a lot of like sugar or something? Like Vietnam, they similar thing, really low grade Robusta, but they use like condensed milk and all this stuff to make things super sweet.
We don't do condensed. It's very expensive over there. But funeral, for example, you're meant to drink coffee without sugar. Do you know what I mean? Like coffee is served anything, your happiness, your death, your stress. Doesn't matter what you're doing and where you are. Coffee is always there. Like it's just that, and you can drink it at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., after dinner, after breakfast, after lunch. It's crazy. Wow. But it's a very strong coffee culture, it's intense, and they have like multiple coffee a day. I mean, right now anymore, you get to a point where, I can't drink it all, man. This is a very long commitment, I'll have a sip. Is that okay?
Same, man.
Like it's too much,
Same. We just go tasting and try things, but man, to finish a full coffee is too much these days.
Exactly, right? Overall, like we're seeing a lot of changes in the industry throughout the years. We're moving away. We see a lot more black drinkers these days. Shifts. Like now know about batch brew, or they know about filter a lot more. People are pour over a lot more. So definitely, the milk-based beverages is, it's a little bit. There's still the majority. Like there's no way you can take it out. Right. But there is a more appreciation to the experience. No, you can charge $20, $25 in some places, and you can get away with it. People, because they're there because they want to experience, they want to have a good time, they want to taste something unique they never tasted before. Very few of that. It's not a massive body, but it's growing as we go in. I think the more adaptation from the Asian culture to coffee, the more coffee is gonna become a lot experimental and experience focused rather than, hey, I just want to go to work, So there's a radical shift there in the consumption and how it's drunk. So, which is interesting.
All right. We're going to put a pin in that. We'll come back to that coffee experience. I do want to have a chat about that. But before we get into that, let's move on a little bit with your journey. So circa later on.
Sorry.
Did you open Stitch in Para as well? Was that in Parramatta too?
No.
Or no? Okay. Anyway, I'll let you go.
So I finished from Circa. I went to Brewtown, Newtown.
That's right.
And that was my first roaster to roaster job. Normally barista to barista. And I'm like, finally, I made it. I'm a roaster today. And then I moved from a super brand new Probat P5 with all the whatever you want pot in it, because at Circa, we don't care, we only do single origin, nothing else, one type of milk, one side only, no mocha. That was Smith, the roastery.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Brewtown and I started working and I moved from a P5 Probat to an L5 Probat. Now, I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with the L5, but the L5 was more like Eason, but with the Probat batch. Was the cheaper version, and it was super manual. Like, I don't even know, like the airflow, you have just the airflow as you go. You have, oh man, it was crazy. I was like, I don't even know how to roast. What am I doing here? Like, even we had a consultant, Scott Ryo, came had a look at it. Just buy a new roaster, man. It's fine. You can't fix that thing. It was quite interesting. It's a good learning journey because you go from super techie to nothing. But it's good to see the differences in experience. So now I know like how a machine from a manual perspective work. It's good to be in those places. I'm never afraid of going to a shittier machine because you're going to learn a lot more than the super highly machines. If you roast on a lowering, I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, but like the almost an autopilot, it's only one thing you're controlling. You're controlling the air, the freaking drums, you're controlling the whole thing. It's insane. So moving forward from the Brewtown, so something happened to our machine. So I think the drum broke because there was an internal fire. Wasn't like fire, it was just because the misalignment of the barrel and the front plate, all the chaff accumulated there. They were like turned on as of like overheating the whole system. So the whole thing broke. And then I had to go roast somewhere else. So this is where the connection of what I'm doing today started, right? And at lesson learned, I'll say it later why it's pretty interesting story, because when we went to roast somewhere else, I met the person who I purchased St. Peter from him.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So if that machine didn't break, and if I didn't move from Circa to Brewtown, I will never met that guy.
Yes.
Right? And after a year, I heard he was selling his roastery. And then I was like, okay, I know how hard is it to set up a roastery. It's not easy. You need a lot of understanding, a lot of stuff you have to go through. The DA it's ridiculous. Getting gas in, it's another story, right? Yes. So I decided to go, bite the bullet, even if I pay a little bit more. I go ahead and do it. And there were already 5 people roasting there.
Yes.
Right? He had a collective, but was like underground in the dungeon, hidden somewhere. Yes. Right? Nobody knew about this. And I'm like, interesting. I know nothing about wholesale, technically. I roasted for Soka and Brewtown. We only use our old coffee. So I don't know how to go and sell coffee. I know how to sell a cappuccino to sugar. You know what I mean? Like I know for a fact, an AeroPress, I can sell you a pour over, whatever it is, but certain limits. And I decided to say, all right, I'll take over this space. At least it's making its own generated money anyway. Like it's paying its own rent, which is good. I could learn how to do wholesale after. So I got a lot of friends in the industry. I'm pretty sure somebody will like my coffee. Just go ahead and do it. Whatever happened. And I left Brewtown that moment and I purchased the setup at St. Peter, which was 100 square meter.
Yep.
And then I gave it the name Collective Roasting Solutions. Right?
Yeah. The old CRS.
Before ECRE, there was CRS, right? So I was like, all right, I'm going to give a very old school name. Really simple. Everybody know what it does. Easy. All we do, this is a roasting collective. Here you go. I started this and I'm like, all right, well, I need my own little brand. So I don't know which one will work. I don't know if this is a better option or being your own wholesale or focus on that item, on that business. It's a better option. So I started together, not knowing what's going to happen. Right. Yes. One thing I knew, I needed to work hard. I was like, there's no other option here. There's one option is hard work, focus. Consistency, being reliable. If people call you, pick up your phone, doesn't matter what time it is, right? Yeah. And that is most and foundation to go ahead and do something and be good at it and build a name around you, right? We grew from 5 people. I started to do little events, meet people, start to go for copying, talk to humans, and we end up having 25 people in a year. So it was 100 square meter, literally that small. I cleaned it up. I started to, make it look a lot better. Like all together, because I had a couple of accounts I took from Farah, who I from him. And it was like 120 kilo for me or 200 kilos, right? All doing together, probably like 500 or 400 with another 5 other humans. So Skittle Lane was there. Artifact was there. Coffee Boy, they were there. Back then there were, John Smith, I don't know if you remember,
Yes,
Smith was in
John Smith, yep.
Waterloo.
In Waterloo, yeah, that's right.
Rebel. There was one more person I don't remember, probably me. I was there. So we were like 5. And we moved for like, the machine was working sometimes 5 a.m., 6 a.m. We ended up having the machine work and it was only a Gießen, 15 kilo, yeah? So we had a 15 kilo Gießen, and that Gießen, and within a year, we end up getting to almost 2 tons a week.
Wow.
Like 25 people there. The machine was just rolling. Like,
working overtime.
7 a.m. to like till 10 p.m. Then I got Grayson Taylor joined me. Then I've got Edition Roasters came on board. Who else? I've got some really good names. We started to have all this like really neighborhood even, but Sean, that was Artificer, we're roasting for him. Started from that little thing, and then I heard I opened a pop-up store. So I decided to go, all right, there's a little pop-up store. The thing is about collective sometimes, not many people talk about where they roast. It's quite difficult for them to tell the story. Like, additionally, we all roast at bigger company. We all say, we all use, some people use Mecca, Aroma, Coffee Roasters, all the other places, right? And sometimes you don't want to associate yourself with certain brand because you might not feel comfortable in some places, So being in a collective where everybody knew, you felt a lot more comfortable because no one was on top of the other person. You know what I mean? Not all of us knew what we were doing anyways. We were just like doing whatever we need to do, and coffee tastes good. That's all that matters. It's all good. We starting with this space, and then I realized, maybe if we open a place where we can sell everybody coffee, and that could help also to let the people know there is a collective, there's a community of roasters that is, working together in Sydney for the first time ever, I guess. To in one space, and we all like, we're not big, massive brand. We're a cafe owner there, we're just trying to get along with it and share some resources. Some people love to share. Some people are like, I got my own world, no problem, And our first pop-up store, and the store I think was for 6 months, and every week we rotated the filter, the black, everything. So we rotate. Everybody has like their week out kind of thing. So it's pretty good. It was really, really good. I really like it. I still believe if one day I had another chance somewhere, I could definitely build a collective kind of coffee place. And to be a way of doing it, because moving the consumer these days, they want variety. They wanna see more than just one roaster. They want to see more than just one thing. It's kind of like, but it is what it is. They want to be, they want someone to curate. It's sometimes so annoying when you think what to have for dinner, but someone else already thought about it. That's such a good life. You know what I mean? Like, too many decision making,
Yeah, we don't have the numbers here to feel like one specific niche, whereas there's certain other countries, because of the population and amount of people you have there, like you can get away with very niche things. Like you can sell just one thing and then you have enough people to keep you open. Whereas in Australia, everybody wants variety. Like you can't just serve this. You have to have coffee, food, this. You can't just, you have to have everything under the gamut. And even if you serve coffee, it's like you have to have a range of things, because if you don't have a range, it's not enough people to just fulfill that niche here.
I agree. And I opened it depends where you open, obviously. Back then, if you opened just coffee, it was very, very tricky to be successful. Yeah. And we're talking, I'm in the city, you're doing 13, 14 kilo a day, then that's fine. You're gonna, you don't need a lot of food for it to be successful. But it's such an important element, because if you are in a suburb, not really city or not a place where there's a lot of people, to be a destination, food is never enough. Coffee is never enough. To be a destination, you really need to have amazing food. And it's a good thing we created in Australia, but it's also a bad thing we created in Australia. because it go hand in with alcohol, and alcohol works really well because your margin is huge. Your average spendage customer could be at a $28, but when you do such a high end food with a beverage that was only $3.50, and you need so much labor to create it, your average now becomes $15, $16.
That's right.
It's crazy. Like you kind of, yes, you did this amazing thing, but you priced it completely wrong. And that's where we are today in the industry, still figuring out why consumers are not willing to pay more, because we got them used to that coffee shop is a cheap place to eat. It's not the case anymore, but they still exist. Some of them, they still do $7 coffee with bacon and egg roll, $10 now. I mean, I really don't know how they make money. Like, no clue. Swear to God, man. Like, still think about it. I get it. You work at the cafe, you're getting your wages, but sometimes you need to calculate it slightly different, and when consumers don't have any other options, they will realize it's either make it at home or, you're going to pay that much money to have it outside, so that's probably one of the biggest challenges we're going to face. Personally, me as well, I face that issue as though I put the prices up. I know I can, I have no doubt, that we're going to be okay if we do that, because we focus on a lot of other things, not just coffee, or we're giving them focus. But it's not an easy conversation. You can't just say, I'm going to do tomorrow and I don't care what people think,
Look, this is a big issue that the industry is facing. It's something we definitely have to discuss further in detail. And also the education awareness of why they should be paying that much. Like, it's a lot of effort to go from crop to what it is on the table. And they're complaining about a 50-cent increase. You have no idea how much effort has to go into getting this cup of coffee from farm to where you are now. But we'll come back into that in a moment as well.
Yeah, it was
and
pretty
so
good.
What happened after the pop-up store?
After the pop-up store, I found Alexandria. So I found the new roastery from old campus site was up for lease. I'm like, I really don't need it. It's all right. I already bought a P25 Probat a year ago as well. So I had a Probat sitting in a warehouse, waiting for it to turn on at some place, and finding Alexandria was great. So I went and I found it in Central Coast, Kai Coffee. I bought it off him before I ever got the P25, and then we started Alexandria then. And I wanted to give an amazing space. So the space was gorgeous. When we first opened, there were like lockers everywhere and all those stuff. It's like brand new stuff, But I guess what we wanted to do, and my main focus was community building. So yes, I had those people roasting there, but I think my focus always about who's next? Who's this next generation? Who are the people that we need to target next? Yes, you can have your baseline, and you can look after your line. But if you're just focusing on base only, you also missing out the next and the new steps that you need to make, to bring people back in, because having a collective in general, it's also like a university, right? So you're going to have people going out, they're going to graduate, they're going to get to 400 kilos a week and realize, hey, I know how to do it. I'm going to buy own roastery. Let's go. So I think you needed to have that education loop. So the more people you get in, the more people, I'm a big believer, when I wanted to roaster, touching a coffee roaster was enough for me to tell me I want to work so hard to work on one. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So opening the space up to all these young generation baristas, and we used to do 50 events a year. Like, we were an event company before we were a cup company. Like, we did crazy amount of events. We did from small cup, like my first events, we did cupping. One person showed up. Second it took us a year to have 30 people coming in. And back then there was nobody doing green coffee copy. They were doing cupping for themselves, but nobody highlighting the green coffee importer, bringing new lot and talking. And we really tried to connect more touch point within the supply chain than ever before, because the consumer go into Reuben Hill Wednesday cupping or Saturday, whatever, but all they're touching is the single origin of Reuben Hill, that whatever guys are buying, you go and you just tasting this type of activity. And you can, not many people do it now because the amount of work and effort and the freaking passion we had back then, it was insane to do 60, 70. We had 2-3 cupping a week. The place was buzzing with cuppers that night. An amazing job in there. And we did Roaster Smackdown as well. I stopped before of COVID, but next year we're going to kick it back with Roaster Smackdown. It was really fun. It's exciting. We had almost 300 people coming in, cupping the coffees and choosing a winner. It was like timeline. It was very sophisticated. Like people think it was freaking hard. It wasn't easy. We had boilers everywhere and it's insane, right? And then we map it forward. I still can't believe we did it. We did 3 or 4 days in Sydney, 3 or 4 days in Melbourne, panel talks, presentations through very, very good people within the industry. And then looking back and see how many people from different companies were part of the panels. We had everybody. It was insane. And I think we sold the ticket probably 200 or 200 plus. And we still I still can't believe we sold that high ticket. We've never done it before. Do you know what I mean? So it was really, really fun. And that's the reason why we moved from collective roasting solution to Ensemble of coffee research and education, right? Because I wanted to do a rebrand. I wanted to come up with something a little bit different. And, because we were known for education more than co-roasting, before COVID, so I decided to go and open an academy then. And we started to do a bit of the investment, and then COVID came and gave us a nice little revolutionary shift in everything we do. And I'm like, okay, I just cannot go back to do, because education, it's a very, very long term game. Education, it takes years and years and years to develop. Like being credible and having credibility is not easy. And I think ECRE has one thing that is very, very credible is a roasting hub. And there's something that you can't take away from it anymore, because it becomes that if you want to roast, go to ECRE, get more credibility, be part of the community. It's one thing we did really, really well. I can say it hands down. We get to a point where we had 52 members roasting with us. Okay. Wow. We had 52 people in and out on a weekly basis, four machine, drum rotating at the same time. And we're talking about 200 square meter. Yeah. It's not like you moved from 1,000 square or anything like that. But then people graduated, left us, opened their own roaster, which is good. That makes me feel proud. I'm happy with that. As long as they, not someone else. I mean, we've done a really good job. Some people, honestly, we still have them. They've been with us for 8 years, 7 years, been roasting with us. So we have people retention. I always give better, we move from ProBat to lowering to this. So whatever is new, I'm that guy, whatever there's a new technology, new thing, new touch point. I'm definitely going to be part of it, because I like to explore, find good innovation out there, learn from it, and also pass it on, pass on this. All right, I've seen this machine. It's going to help you to do blah, 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 blah. I think it's going to be great. Go ahead, it's good. It's now you're connected,
I think, look, you've been developing yourself in the industry for quite a while, and from, like you said, everything in hospitality to roasting and having all these household names now, like in the specialty coffee, being part of your collective, going from that education, doing the rounds, panel talks, building that credibility, and then moving into the education space. But like you said, you've always been at the forefront of technology. Like you're always snapping up whatever's new, learning, sharing that with people. And you become the go-to guy. And so I think it really strategically positions you to be in a position of the educator. And I understand what you mean by it's the long-term game, but there's a lot of sustainable value, I think is the word to give.
100%, yes.
Okay. Now on to the last part of the journey, which I'm not the last part of the journey. I'm sure there's still a lot more to go, but the opening of Stitch Coffee.
The after COVID. The after COVID.
After COVID. Yes.
Or within COVID. Look, I think COVID was a bad thing for a lot of people, but also it really opened up some opportunities for others, right? Like in every downturn, there's always something that you can learn from. And one of the main things I've learned is a radical shift in my thinking. Like I've done a lot of B2B transaction, business to business, wholesale only. There was nothing about direct to consumer or understanding the consumer market or behavior, because most of the time I was dealing with business owners, cafe owners. Most of my transaction acquisition was very different type of acquisition back then. When I saw what happened, the online boom during COVID, and funny enough, we had a website, which is great. I think anybody who didn't have a website at that moment, it's not like you can't bring it, but now it's way harder because you were there at the beginning of it. So it accelerated you. And if you've done a great job servicing them, you've got an amazing loyal, because something about coffee is an amazing product and build loyalty around it.
Yep.
If you've done such a great job, you will always going to have a customer retention. Even if you make mistakes down the track, it's going to be okay because they're going to forgive you. You've done a great job at the beginning and all that kind of stuff. So having a website then, and like what I saw, that acceleration, we're talking from 300 to 3,000, like these are like weekly sales and getting up to 5,000. It was like, whoa, what the hell's going on? And that preparation for it is then we invested a lot more into the packaging. We started to invest a lot more into what Stitch Coffee really mean, what do as a brand, what kind of feel we want to be. And I really love cute stuff, right? I like cute things. And I also like packaging that makes me smile. I also like when I look at something, I say, oh, this is hilarious or this is funny. And I think this is where Stitch Coffee packaging comes along, and it's just random, but it's not, it's stupid, but it's not. It's silly, but it's funny. And it's like, yeah, I get it. A lot of people just don't believe in cartoons and making things. Most of the time, coffee, like it's black magic. So you either need to be black or white or pastel or one color only and all that. Coming in to do a bit of something a little bit different was really fun for me. So realize, all right, let's go consumer. Let's now learn more about consumerism. Let's understand what they want. The online gave me the boost to go and say, oh, coming back and purchasing. So people liking the brand online, people want to buy us. So why don't we now become a little bit closer to them and have a retail space, And in Australia, fortunately to unfortunately, you do need a touch point to become known in the industry. So you do need to have a retail store. It's very important, I guess. We drive, you try your t-shirt before you buy. So you need that. Going to become a very cheap brand forever. The only thing they're going to buy you for is price, So this experience, we decided, all right, And I did have 2 pop-up stores. I had the one in Enmore. It was pretty good. Then I opened a second pop-up store in St. Peter, right? And in St. Peter, it cost me like 85, 90K for a pop-up store. It wasn't a cheap, right? But I wanted to give something different. Like we had this green room where everything is green. It was actually taken from a museum in New York. Back then, every room had a color theme and everything in it is the same color. So that's why we had the white room where you're serving coffee and all that. And everything is white from the floor to the ceiling to the machine, everything. And then we had the green room when everything green and the neon was green and all that. But it wasn't successful. And the reason it wasn't successful, not because of it, it's because also the location wasn't right. Yeah. I was in a completely bad place to do that. If I was in the middle of Newtown, it will be a different story. If I was in the middle of the city, it's a different story. So my thought process is, my inspiration is T2 to start with, One of the reason I do what I do is just T2 is they made tea a gift, they made tea. If you really like someone, you just give them a tea box, it's such a small little gesture type of tea. Agree to disagree of the quality. We can put that on the side, but from an experience and walking in and buying something from T2 to someone, they're going to love it. Yep. They're going to use it. They're going to have it. They're going to, at some point in the daytime, they're going to pick one and they're going to drink it. Right. So Stitch Coffee with this thought process in my head, I'm like, we are consumer driven behavior company, not in a bad way, but more of a conscious behavior, but more being in a space where there is people with shopping mentality around. So we're not a brand that we're gonna be in a suburb somewhere, tucked in a place. We are a little bit, we want to be more closer to people shopping, people looking around, people seeing what's happening and all that. And when I Broadway and it's right next to a shopping center, I wanted to understand my thought process, if it works or not. Does that make sense? What I was thinking. So that's why I open run it, not inside, but a little bit on the outside. So feel if my theory worked in my head for my brand or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, was this thing. It is working. Don't get me wrong. We're not $1, but I could see the retail moving. I could see people coming in, carrying a bag, holding this. I learned a lot. Like my next place will have a lot more understanding of how do we make easier decision-making. Consumer to walk in and know exactly what this coffee is supposed to do, help them to make it, grab it, see you later. I'll come back for more, So it's a learning journey. Like it's a completely different concept in your head, but it's quite fun.
I really love your store at Broadway. I think it's a great location right outside Broadway. Is one of the busiest shopping centers. I think the Coles there is one of the busiest in the country. It's a great traffic area.
I didn't know.
The fit out, I love the fit out. The fit out is very clean and it's comfortable. It's welcoming. It's warm. I enjoy spending my downtime there. Like I go there with my journal and I'll sit there by the window, or I'll just sit there and just hang out like a lonely guy. But it's great that I can just have my solitude time there. But also the other thing I want to touch on is the branding. I think the branding is genius. That cutesy, fun, but it's different, man. Yours is very fun and it's very marketable. Like the products, it's not just that, but it's like the t-shirts. Like my partner bought 2 t-shirts from there, and then you've got I've got one at home, and it's got the logo and stuff, and it's fun. And the branding and the box, the packaging, I can see a lot of people just wanting to pick it up because it's interesting, it's fun to look at, and then go, oh, okay, yeah, it's coffee and it's got this, it's got that, and it's fun to read. And then, you know what, I'm going to pick it up and I might give this as a gift. Oh, what a great gift. It's like when my partner's family was in town from overseas, I was like, oh, they love coffee. Where do I go? Oh, I know the idea. I'll go down to Nawar's place and I'll pick up some of these boxes, and it's the people who appreciate coffee and it's fun packaging, and they'll love it and they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, look at the
great work, man.
Thank you. I mean, that started with an idea of when we wanted to do those illustrations. The concept was, let's do an illustration that has a hidden sustainability message within it. Okay. So all these animals, some of these animals like the whale, the Arnold, the polar bear, the Tommy, the little bee, all of them actually signify an importance of looking after the environment. Anyway, I know it's communicating this, but you can't do everything at once, I guess, when you're a small, like really honestly, having people, having the fun, all that kind of stuff. It's really like branding. Forget about coffee. Coffee is the easiest concept. Coffee is not complicated. Whoever thinks coffee is complicated, it is not complicated at all. Okay. It's becoming so good at the origin that the coffee coming in is so high quality. You will never have a bad coffee.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're really determined to offer up. To be fair, building a brand and the amount of effort and thought process and the benchmarking and getting the right. I had 3 designers that before I get to the designer who I worked with the most for the last few years, I paid a lot of money to know what design mean and what am I looking for. The amount of take you do from your first logo till the end of it, it's ridiculous. And one thing when you do a brand, it is, you have to know you should be continuously evolving. Okay. And continuous evolution means you're not going to have money for a while. Like, it's not something you can say. You can't just say, I came up with this idea. It's going to make me $1 million. No, it's not going to make you $1 million. In fact, you need 4 runs, or you need to be long enough for you. Sometimes you don't need to know anything. You just need to be around long enough. Sometimes your product needs just to be there for like 3-4 years and then suddenly it's become a thing. To be patient.
Yes.
Patient, and you need to keep looking. I don't even know what is the gold product in this industry yet. Like, I don't even know, is it? Like, in some other industry, they have certain product that it is their money generator. An example of this is Polo or a Gold, right? These are generator car for VW group, not just VW. The whole group is based most of their money on the sale of Polo and Gold. They base their R&D funding of these specific cars. Same thing with Hyundai, Samsung, all these, like even Sony, the reason it exists, PlayStation, otherwise it's see you later, long time. You really need to find that freaking product. It's so difficult. And everybody who thinks they want to be a household brand, to become a household brand, you really need to look for product are consumed and easy to do. Be a household brand just by being in a bag. The amount of competition being in a bag is so big. What is the point of differentiation? What is this new product you need to come up with? Like seeing an RTD. The reason why there's not many players is because the MOQ is ridiculous. The amount of investment that you're not going to make money the first 4 years is so high, but to be part, you need to just take a little bit of risk, be a bit more calculative. Don't do everything stupid like I am. Sometimes I do make big mistakes trialing. But we learned a lot, we learned along the way. You get to learn more about research because once the market is ready, you need your product to be ready, and your product to be ready, you need tests. It's not going to be ready by doing, 1 can or 2 can. You need probably 2-3 runs of fine tuning. Like you can't just have an amazing phone. As you're going, you're learning more about it. So, so this is where a lot of focus is B2C, is experiences, giving the world something that could help the whole industry as one, and I'm a big of convenient product, like not in a bad way, ready to brew, ready to drink, are the future. The reason why tea becomes so popular is the tea bag. I can tell you that right now. The tea bag revolutionized the tea company. The beer can revolutionized the beer industry. Kind of things, changing industry. It's important for us as coffee people also to look at other successes in other industry, like the beer is an industry of color now. It's actually kombucha without, it's not beer, it's no, I want to go back to Pilsners and lager, move back to the old school one where you can drink and you're okay, or you have to go to the toilet and come back. That's it. You don't feel blown up. You don't feel, but now it's like crazy fermentation happening. So we need to adapt. There's obviously a new generation of drinkers, the traditional has shifted. Even whiskey company are doing whiskey mixes. Johnny was coming up with their, colorful mixes, all this. So we need to start adapting a new way of thinking, I guess. And funny enough, Campos had a peach fermentation coffee on their Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Like the bubblegum box we created had peach, strawberry, passion fruit, mint, and orange fermentation. It's interesting to see that there is a lot of work happening at a farm level of that, a little bit of innovation. A lot of people say, give me washed, I'll love it forever. But do you know what? Sometimes it's not about you, Sometimes it's about what do they want to help the supply chain to be successful? Like why bubble tea is at $9? It's because they right. answer what the customer wants. So sometimes we really need to have a balance between what customers asking for and what we want to do and kind of listen to it. Don't give them, of course not, but listen and try to adjust. Who is the new coffee drinker is the question. Seeing all these alternatives to coffee, caffeine free, all that kind of new concept coming up. So we have a lot of competition coming in that taking coffee drinkers away from drinking coffee. And we have people coming back because they don't want V anymore and Red Bull, they don't want stuff with sugar. So I think we need to find get a little bit different, exciting, funky, change their perception about what coffee needs to be. And that's waves, be that new wave of, instead of Starbucks did an amazing job and they still did an amazing job, whether you like it or you hate it, and just refine Starbucks. Or even Blue did an amazing job for a while. I think they also kind of stopped somewhere moving forward as well, So are we the new generation? Maybe. I mean, just work towards it, change of perception, I guess.
Well, if anyone's got perspective in a variety of products and categories and experience, it's you, man. Like, from what your story, and thank you for sharing your story. And I'm sure there's a lot more in it and there's a lot more to come, but that kind of gives you a glimpse into Nawar's life. Like you're in everything the industry can offer, like as much as your experience, like you're in roasting, retail, online retail, subscriptions, pods, cans, drip bags, chai, matcha, education, mate, you name it and you're there. Like you're in it. Brick and mortar, online, everything, you're there, man. And from that experience, and I know there's some of them are still very experimental and you're still learning about it, but out of them, like what do you see is three things? Like which ones are the most profitable, which ones are growing rapidly, and which one has the most potential for growth? So three things. What do you think?
I think I will start with the safest one, which is the third one. Always do an amazing job in your packaging for the beans. That's always going to be your baseline. So that will always be your cash cow. Right? That will always be there. If you're doing a great job in the packaging, the look, the feel, you're going to be okay.
Yep.
And buying some really, really good coffee. People are not afraid to spend a little bit more because I'm realizing as I'm looking around the hospitality industry, You go to fine dining restaurants fully booked. And in some cases, there's no booking for another 3 months. And I don't think because people have a lot of money, it's not just that. I think people are willing to spend more if you give them what they deserve. That's really strongly, I believe in that. If you give them the whole experience, they're going to pay for it. And they're not going to feel, as long as they don't feel the price of the experience, you've done the best job you can possibly can. And that's not me who's saying it. A lot of people will be saying at the same time. That's one. The second, I could tell you right now that it's moving the drip bag and the steep bag. It is going to be like, thing about Japan, they live in the future, they live in a world where if you want to see the future in 10 years, just go for it. I've never been, by the way, but go to Japan, see what's going on and come back with an idea, Maybe nowadays they're a little bit less hectic than they were a few years ago, 20 years ago. I think there's other nations now are kind of competing in that futuristic thought process. No doubt about it. But what you're seeing today is life becoming very busy in other things, and you're busy in your, meeting online, busy in this and that. So you really have less and less time. You think you have more time, but actually you're doing now you're multitasking more than you ever before, the time is going to become a very, very important value. Convenience is going to become value added activity, not anymore a cheap things to do. And funny because when we started using specialty coffee product into a vending machine, or you started using it into a can, or you started putting it into a fully automated machine and you're drinking it, like, it's actually not bad. It's actually good. You know what I mean? Man, if I was home, I will never produce this cup because I don't have the $40,000 machinery a barista can make for me, right? There will be a radical shift to these products. These products are going to become more and more something people going to be purchasing. People going to be asking for it, An example of this, and this is something we need to learn, is a beer can. In some places, it's $9 to buy it from BWS. Like, it's insane. Go to Dan Murphy. You see some beer cans are almost $12 for the can, So it is, and there are people buying it. Otherwise, it's not going to be on the shelf, period. They're not going to bother themselves to put on shelf if things doesn't sell, right? So this stuff are really going to help us. And we really need to get out of this. It doesn't taste like a pour over. It's not meant to taste like a pour over to start with. It's meant to be in a space of time where you don't have time to do a pour over. And this is the best thing you can get for that 2 minutes of making a filtered drip coffee, right? That is the reason why this product existed. It didn't exist to come with an EK and one of the best kettle with the best flow rate. There is a lot of little bits and pieces that needed go through for that product to become what it is. Treat every product for its own little environment and the situation and the place, right? Once you connect them, then all right, this is an amazing product for that particular moment in life. Like tea bags, right? Same thing. You can put some amazing tea. Now there's a lot of specialty tea going into a bag as well, like they were saying that convenience tea is a thing. So invest in this type of product. It's really going to help you to become more of a consumer oriented brand. And it's going to help you to be at household more. It's going to be as well. You have to think about them buying it for other friends. Why would being in a bag? Not everybody does it. Not everybody has a grinder at home as a friend, and that will help your brand to spread. It's all about spreading the name, and if you're a brand that care about the packaging, make sure that you find a supplier that give you the packaging that, it requires for you not to feel guilty. Make sure you find all those type of, things around your values. And you just have to look for someone that works with you with a similar value and similar thinking. Then you're fine.
Well, thanks for the tips. And if anyone would know, you would know. You're not just talking from a perspective of, oh, this is what I think. You're talking from a perspective of experience. You've done these things before. You're still working on these things. And for those that are listening, take Nawar's advice seriously.
I see it because we do manufacture, so we do make for other roasters and all that. And I could see the trend is there. And there is other product coming in, don't worry, that will be revolutionizing the industry at some point, but wait till it's ready and then we can talk about it. So.
Nawar, look, we're reaching the tail end of our conversation. I'm reaching on an hour and a half. I think that's about the concentration time span of a lot of people. But before we finish up, I wanted to go back to some topics that we put a pin in and that I think is important that we discuss. And it ties into experience and pricing. So those are the two things that we spoke roughly about before. And you were saying before, it's not that people are tightening up with money, but they're still spending on what they think is worth it, the value that they get. And in terms of the coffee industry, in terms of its pricing and the experience we offer, I think there's a bit of a gap and there's a challenge there, right? Because, for example, I did a podcast with Maxwell Mooney from Narrative Coffee in the US, and I was just like, hey, how much do you guys charge for a regular white coffee over there? And his 6 ounce, they charge it between $5.50 to $6 right? And we don't even charge that in AUD, Australia. And the wages are different. And there's a whole massive thing here in Australia for us. Like, we've got huge wages in the labor hospitality industry. You would know the impact of inflation in the cost of the beans because you're on the back end as well as the front end from that cost carrying over. How do we get through this and how do we survive this? Because obviously we need to be charging more, right? What is your opinion on this? Or how do we bring the coffee experience in so that we can show that, look, we can charge more because of this experience?
Look, I think the most important part, as I said earlier on in the conversation, we in Australia had maybe different type of immigrants that came here, right? So the immigrants that came here come from super hard working, like the immigrants came to Australia from my people, just speaking from a Lebanese perspective, are very different to the Lebanese that went to America, to France, to Canada. Not the same mentality, not the same purpose, right? A lot of us that came here, they're hard workers. They're not really financially smart. Or they don't understand number. I'm not saying we're stupid, but what I'm saying is we in here did not know how to prove ourselves from the beginning. We did it. We brought in very high end. We made it so sophisticated that we really can't make money anymore of the sophistication that we produce, right? So, and we have cafe food that could kick ass anywhere else in the world, some restaurant. Like some food is unreal getting produced at a cafe. That doesn't happen outside the world, outside Australia. Like I went to Canada. I don't even need to know the name or put a lid on or put a shirt on, or there's zero interaction. Just here's your coffee. See you later. $6 Canadian. And plus you have to still my brain not function. Here we're like, nah, no tips. In some cases we say no tips. And we do have one of the best food in the world from a diversity. Yeah, you can go to France, just having French food, but you come to Australia, you have amazing food in multiple cuisine. Like every cuisine has its own little, immigrants, and we've done such a great job. We're all hard workers. So we've been working so hard, but we haven't been appreciating time that put into it. And that comes because, didn't understand time until I grow up a little more to know time, how valuable it is. We don't know it in our head. Your time is as valuable as anyone else's time, right? So I would say one of the biggest challenges we have. How do we come across it? How do we help? Like I've been to a lot of cafe, right? And some coffee shops you go to, the cup is so ugly. You've got this black rim or cup, nobody cleaned it. Like there is so much things we are doing right to ask for more money. It is not fair for those to put at $6 or $7 if they're not adjusting what they're doing as well. Like the consumer wants to see improvements from our end. And so now what you're seeing is all the people that thought that I want to open a cafe because it's sexy, they're gone. I used to be in the finance industry and then I decided to open a cafe for my wife. That is not happening anymore. This is not rotating in the industry. So now what you're seeing in the industry, there is a shift of coffee professionals opening professional coffee places, right? That could help us also to give that different education now to the people. Do you know what I mean? So going fast enough? No, because, it's a very, very time. One. Second, for us to improve, we really need to invest in a product that could them to go and say, hey, this is convenient. It's going to be at this price. And to come to the shop, it's going to be at that price. Right? So the future thinking is us becoming retailer. Cafes need to learn how to become retailers. And retailers it's a very different thought process. Like you need to understand this is not cucumber in, cucumber out. This is a product that have a shelf life. You need to have a process. When do you sell it? When do you let go? You can't just put it in the fridge because sometimes some cans are expired. And I know that, I'm like, come on, guys, just watch it. Just have a little note that says 10% off. Open it and give it to someone. Do you know what I mean? Learn the concept of retailing, it's very in hospitality. I can tell you that right now. It's not the same. Things like this are very important to us. The other thing is you go to a bar, a pale ale, it's $13, $14, right? For schooner. You buy it in a can, it's $6. It makes sense. You gave them alternative, right? But coffee, we don't have a lot of alternative for them to use at home. We've been telling them you need to buy scale, you need to buy this, you are telling them to buy so much machinery in a small little tiny kitchen to put in for them to produce a very amazing cup of coffee. And it's the way to go. Don't get me wrong. But if you provide them some other new product, new alternative, new thing, you're opening a new market. They could have it at night with their friends. They can have it at a different timeline. Now, start investing in this, then we're giving them alternative. It's just a shift in the consumption. That's all, and now you can go higher because you gave them a product that could fill. Hey, you want something better or cheaper or something that you want to do yourself with no hassle? Here you go. This is a product for you. You come to a cafe at $7.
Yes. Got you. So
I could be maybe right.
But it's almost like adding a pricing ladder in for the customers, but for the beverage section, not just the food section. Because, for example, when you do a menu, you'd be like, look, not everybody wants to spend $20 plus. You got to be, okay, they can have your granola for $10 and then you've got your banana bread for $5 and then you've got your avocado toast for $16 and then you've got your burgers for $19 and then you can go for something a bit more, fish or something for $25, $30. So you've got that pricing ladder. But for coffee, you don't really have that. You just got everything is within that $5 range and that's it. That's all you got. And sometimes you got specialty places and you got, okay, here's a pour of, $12. And other than that, there's no real high ground, middle ground, or like a way to explain and share that experience with them.
Exactly. So I think that's probably the way. There's many other way, by the way, but it's just something could be alternatives, giving them an options. Then they will like, okay, look, I know I'm going to come here. I love you. I want to spend my time with you. This is $7, but also I don't have every day $7. So let me grab a bag. let me grab a pour over sachet or drip bag, parachute, whatever you want to call them. I'll do it at home. I know I'm going to get good cup. Boom, see you later. Easy life. It's a bit more complicated than that.
Mate, Noah, finally, I just want to ask you one more question. I've been curious about this. Because you've had so much experience, if you could press the restart button, what would you do things differently? I know it's a big question, but you can just give me a high level.
If I do a reset button, I think I would have opened the cafe and a coffee shop a lot earlier than now. If I would had a reset button. But to be very fair, I think we've done an amazing job so far, us existing and still talking and still being able to maneuver and to continue innovate and be very experimental. I don't think I would have done it any better, to be honest. I don't think there's a lot of changes because I didn't know. Like I started with something I only knew how to do coffee, but that doesn't mean you know how to run a business. It doesn't mean you know how to innovate. It doesn't mean you know how to be good with your money, like there's a lot of things. And I do have some really good people around, amazing stuff's been with me since day one, actually. Until today. It's good. Like growth is something people should not be afraid of because growing your brand means growing everybody around you, means employing people as well. It means helping others realizing, whatever goodness that you're trying to do, and impact their life. So would I do it any different? I don't think so. Would I be in a different industry? Probably. Beer, I would say, is something I would definitely probably be good at. Beer branding. I have no doubt about that. I'm realizing more what I really like to do in life. And you don't know it when you're in your late 20s. You wouldn't know it at the beginning of your 30s. You will know it later on that, you're good at this, or you got, and then become more mature, obviously, and you become more understanding of the world around you and sharing your knowledge and your experience is actually probably the best thing you want to do, because it helps you to realize what you've achieved so far. It helps you to know what you've done, or it helps you to align yourself at all time into your final goal, because talking about it more and more, it becomes a belief and sitting in your head somewhere. So I would do the same thing.
Mate, I've absolutely loved connecting with you. We've been friends, but it's also great to learn a lot more about your journey. Mate, I didn't even get through, not even up to 50% of the questions I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I know.
You're such an interesting guy. There's so much there.
I don't think you're going to do it in an hour.
We'll definitely have to invite you back for a round 2, if that's okay with you. And then we'll do that to that. Mate, finally, obviously I'll put in the show notes everything about ECRE and stitch details. Is there any other details? Is there anywhere people can learn more about you or reach out to you, anything like that you'd like to put out?
They can always direct message me on my Instagram, even though there's one image on it. So don't worry, it's there. You can say hello. I can reply if you need any help or question. More than happy. If I have the time, I will. And we're open. You can always reach out to people as well, and Stitch or ECRE. Ask as many questions. We're here to continue with the community, and we're here to help everybody as well to be successful with us.
Guys, anyone listening to this, Nawar is a top guy. He's easy. He's welcoming. He's easy to chat to. He's also a wealth of knowledge. So whatever you guys need, especially in the coffee industry, hit him up. He's generous with his time and he's happy to help.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Kevin.
That's it for this week's episode of Brewed Awakenings. If you enjoyed what you heard, please leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to tune in next month for more steaming hot coffee talk. Thanks for listening.